Hello students, in this video of ours we are going to learn about the second kingdom of five kingdom classification of Whittaker, that is Protista. And now in Monera the type of the cell was prokaryotic, where the nucleus was not present, membrane bound organelles were not present. Here the major difference is, here the cell, they all are unicellular organisms, but here the type of the cell is eukaryotic. That means here in this cell we can find a well-defined nucleus and we can find the different membrane bound organelles in the cell. So this is the major difference between Monera and Protista. And Protista is a variety. You will find variety of organisms in this Protista. It's not like Monera, because in Monera the sole members were bacteria only. But here in Protista we will find a variety of organisms and we will divide, because we cannot study all of them together. So we will classify them basis on their dissimilarities and we will study them separately. Now the kingdom Protista, it is unicellular, eukaryotic cells. Unicellular means they all are consisting of one cell only. Their body is comprising of one cell only, and they are eukaryotic. The cell is eukaryotic. And the members of Protista are primarily aquatic. That means majority of the members of kingdom Protista are found in water. They can be in marine water, it can be fresh water, but majority of them are aquatic organisms. This kingdom forms a link with the others, dealing with plants, animals and fungi. Earlier, when there was only two kingdom classification, plants and animals, which was given by Carolus Linnaeus. So some of the Protista were kept in the animals and some of them were kept in the plants. Why? Because Protista, some of them are capable of synthesizing their own food in the presence of sunlight. They are autotrophic, and some of them are heterotrophic. So phototropic, while the autotrophic were kept with the plants and the heterotrophic were kept with the animals. So the animals and plants and fungi, so this kingdom was divided into many other kingdoms, many other forms. Being eukaryotes, the Protista cell body contains a well-defined nucleus and other membrane-bound organelles. Now protists reproduce asexually as well as sexually by the process involving cell fusion and zygote. So the fusion of cell is there, zygote formation is there. So you see from simple to complex. The bacteria, the sexual reproduction was only by the transfer of DNA from one bacterium to another. Here we are finding sexual reproduction also, but that is involving the cell fusion, that is involving the zygote formation as well. But majority of them are still reproducing by asexual method. Now Protista, on the basis of the dissimilarities, can be divided into different groups, and these are chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, protozoans, slime molds, euglenoids. So these are the 5 classes which are there in your NCERT syllabus, and we will learn about them one by one. So first of all, let's take chrysophytes. Now these chrysophytes are commonly called diatoms, golden algae, desmids. Now actually what they are doing is, they are present in the marine environment, most of them. You will find some of them in fresh water as well. They are microscopic and they float passively in water currents. You must have seen the mass of green mass flowing in the water passively. Passively means wherever the water current is going, they will go that side. They are called planktons, phytoplanktons, because they are capable of undergoing photosynthesis. So they are called phytoplanktons, and they are the major producers of oceans. You will find the majority of these phytoplanktons moving with the water currents on water bodies. And why they are called diatoms? Because of this shape. They have two shells and fixed one on another, overlapping like a soap box. Like you have seen a soap box, two shells. So similarly, can you see this? This is the structure. They are having soap-like structures. The boxes, soap-like boxes. That's why they are called diatoms. And another important thing about them is their cell wall is embedded with the silica. Now, silica, because of the silica present in their cell walls, when they form the sediments, that is called diatomaceous earth. In millions and millions of years, you will find sediments of that silica, which is present in the cell wall of this chrysophytes, and it will form diatomaceous earth, which is called diatomaceous earth. And this diatomaceous earth, because it is containing silica, it is used in many fields for polishing purposes, for filtration purposes. We are using that diatomaceous earth. So diatomaceous earth is the peculiar character which is connected with the diatoms, that is chrysophytes. The second class of protista is dinoflagellates. Now, what are dinoflagellates? Dinoflagellates are also mostly marine. That means they are present in the sea water. They are photosynthetic. They are capable of synthesizing their own food. They have different colors. They appear in yellow, green, brown, blue, or red. This color is because of the pigments which are present in their cells. So they give different color because of the different pigments which are present in their cells. Now the cell wall has stiff cellulose plates on the outer surface. Their cell wall is made up of cellulose, and this cellulose is present in the form of stiff plates on the surface of the dinoflagellates. And dino means two. They are having two flagella. So that's why they are called dinoflagellates. Most of them are having two flagella. And the red dinoflagellates, one of the example is Goniolax. Goniolax is present in the sea, and when it is present, the colonies are present of these dinoflagellates, red dinoflagellates. What happened? They are multiplying very fast, and one stage will come when they make sea appear red. So you must have seen, if you have seen, or in the movies or pictures, I'm sure you must have seen it. So this appearance will be there. Like this is called red tides. This is because of the presence of many dinoflagellates which are having red pigments in their cell walls. So this commonly is called red tide. And toxins are released by a large number of these dinoflagellates, and they even kill other marine animals such as fishes. So they are not good for the other marine life. They can kill the aquatic life which is present by the toxins which they release. So these are the characteristics of dinoflagellates. Now the third class is euglenoids. Euglenoids are freshwater. If you see, dinoflagellates were the marine, mostly marine. Here you will find they are mostly freshwater organisms, and they found in a stagnant water. What is stagnant water? The water which is not moving, the water which is placed at one place for a long period of time. That is called stagnant water. And instead of a cell wall, they have a protein-rich layer called pellicle. They don't have cell wall. Instead, they are having a protein-rich layer, which is called pellicle. And because of this protein-rich layer, they are flexible. They are not rigid. So their cells are flexible. Their body is flexible because of the presence of this protein pellicle. Though they are photosynthetic in the presence of sunlight. In the presence of sunlight, they can prepare their own food and they are photosynthetic. When the sunlight is not present, in that condition, they behave like heterotrophs. That means they are autotrophic as well as heterotrophic. In the presence of light, they are autotrophic, and in the absence of light, when the sunlight is not there, they are heterotrophic. And when they are heterotrophic, they are predating on small organisms. What is predation? Two terms are there, prey and predator. Prey is what? The shikar, and predator is shikari, like lion and deer. So lion is predator and deer is prey. So similarly, when they are heterotrophs, they are predators on small organisms. So they eat small organisms when the sunlight is not available to them, and then they become heterotrophic. And the pigments of eugneloids, the pigments which are present in the eugneloid, are identical to those present in the higher plants. For example, chlorophyll A. Chlorophyll A is the pigment which is present in the plants for photosynthesis. Similarly, here in these euglenoids also, you will find the pigments which are similar to the pigments which are present in the higher plants. And the most common example of euglena, by which the name is given euglenoids, is euglena. And euglena is having flagellum. The name suggests is the slippery molds. Molds are what? The colonies. The colonies are there, and they are saprophytic. Saprophytic in nature means their mode of nutrition is saprophytic. They are feeding on dead and decayed materials. So you will find them with the decaying twigs, decaying leaves, the rotten things, whichever rotten organic matter is present, they are present with them, and they will move along the decaying twigs and leaves, engulfing organic material. And when they are moving in a colonies, when they are moving in colonies, they are called plasmodium. So plasmodium is what? Plasmodium is a many molds, many slime molds, many proteases moving together with the decaying twigs and leaves, which are engulfing the organic matter. So basically, they are eating the organic matter which is present in the dead and decay material, plant material, and they are converting it into inorganic substances. Protozoans. Now, protozoans are heterotrophs. They earlier, when there was only two kingdom classification followed, when the two kingdoms were plants and animals, the protozoans were kept in animals because they are all heterotrophs. They are not capable of synthesizing their own food, so they were kept in with the animals. But with the five kingdom classification, they were separated from the animals and were kept in this protist. Now, all protozoans are heterotrophs. That means they depend on others for their food, and they live as predators. Predators, as I told you, they predate on the prey. So they are predators or parasites. Parasites also, they are harming others, and predators. So that means basically they are harming others, other organisms. They are believed to be primitive relatives of animals. That's why they were kept with the animal kingdom earlier. There are four major groups of protozoans. Now, what are these four major groups? First of all is the amoeboid protozoans, where the amoeba comes, and you all are familiar with the amoeba. You have seen many diagrams in many textbooks of amoeba. Then these organisms, they live in the fresh water, sea water or moist sea. They move and capture their prey by putting out their pseudopodia. What are pseudopodia? Amoeba is a single cell organism. So there is extension of the cytoplasm, and that extension is called pseudopodia. Pseudopodia is the false feet. And this false feet, then they engulf the food inside it. And then they bring the food inside it, and then they eat it in the food vacuoles by digesting it with the help of the enzyme. So it is a holozoic mode of nutrition, and they are feeding themselves by pseudopodias. They are moving also by pseudopodias. So pseudopodias are the cytoplasmic extensions of the amoeba by which it is moving, by which it is engulfing the food which is present in the surrounding. And some of them are entamoeba as parasite, and entamoeba is a parasite which is creating many diseases. Entamoeba, the dysentery, diarrhea is because of the infection from entamoeba in human beings. Then the second type of protozoans are flagellated. As the name suggests, they have flagella, and they can be free living or parasitic. Free living means they are in surrounding, they are present, they are freely living, and parasitic means they are inside the host and they are harming the host and parasitic to that host. They have flagella, as the name suggests, they have flagella. And the parasitic forms cause disease such as sleeping sickness. So sleeping sickness is the disease which is caused by the flagellated protozoan known as, the name is trypanosome. So trypanosome is the protozoan which is causing the sleeping sickness in human beings. Then the third type is ciliated. Ciliated, again, as the name suggests, they have many cilias on their body. So the whole cell, can you see this? This paramecium. Paramecium is the very common example of ciliated protozoan. It is having cilia all over its cell. And these are aquatic, actively moving because of the cilia, and because of the presence of thousands of cilia, because of the presence of these thousands of cilia on their cell, they are actively moving. And then they have a cavity. Cavity is like mouth. So they are, with the flow of the water, they are sending the food inside their gullet. This cavity is called gullet. So that opens to the outside, and through this gullet, they can have their food. The cilia are moving the food and water, and through the water, the food is going inside the cavity, and this cavity opens to the outside, and this is called gullet. And the common example is paramecium. Now the fourth type of protozoan is sporozoans. Sporozoans are, as the name suggests, they are in the form of spores, and these spores are infectious spores. Malaria is caused by the Plasmodium. Causative organism of malaria is Plasmodium, which is a protozoan. Female Anopheles mosquito is only the vector. It is bringing the Plasmodium to us. So female Anopheles mosquito is bringing the Plasmodium into our body, and then we are having this malaria because of the infectious sporozoites. Now the Plasmodium completes its life cycle in two hosts, human being and female Anopheles mosquito. So the Plasmodium protozoan, it requires two hosts to complete its life cycle. So this includes diverse organisms that are infectious, spore-like stages in their life cycle. The most notorious is Plasmodium, which is a malarial parasite which causes malaria and which has a staggering effect on human population. Because we all have seen, if we have not experienced, we have seen somebody of our family must have been suffered malaria because of this mosquitoes. And mosquitoes are vectors, and the causative organism is Plasmodium. So infectious spores are there. That's why this class is called sporozoans. This is about the second kingdom, which is called Protista.